Hey everyone, welcome back to For the Record. Well, today I am doing an album review on Whitesnake's Flesh and Blood. But I just thought I would take a minute or two to sort of explain my thoughts or my thought process when I'm doing an album review and sort of go through. There's like three areas that I pay attention to. Well, the first one is it's pretty basic. It's how the singer sounds. Not necessarily solo, but how does the singer sound with the band? Do they sound tight? Do they sound like they're together? Or do they just sound like they're just a hot mess? Two would have to be sort of kind of, again, basic, how or what the album looks like, how it's presented, little things like the paper sleeves. Okay, I'll go to about these in just a minute, but they did good with these for this album, Flesh and Blood. But sort of like presentation and how it looks, like visually, what's in the album. Does it seem to, is it eye appealing? Is it basically presentable, and is it good or is it bad? And the last and final thing would have to be, does the album as a whole sort of flow from one song to the next? Does it sort of kind of do an even flow, sort of from one song to the next, and to the end? How does it flow? Is it good or is it bad? Does it just not do it? And I'm going to give you an example of a bad album. Okay, one that I feel just didn't have a good flow, and I explained this in the album review on the album I'm going to show you in just a second. But a good example for a bad flowing album would be Metallica's Hardwired to Self-Destruct. More detail about the particular things I have to say about this album, you can look on a previous video for album review on this one. But this didn't have very good flow. I didn't like this album very much. There were good songs on it, but watch that video if you're interested, and I'll go into more detail. So, but this album, did it flow? Did it or sort of? I felt like I did with Metallica's Hardwired to Self-Destruct was, I found a lot of times I felt like I couldn't wait for the particular song to be over so I could listen to the next one, and that happened a lot, Or were you just listening and it casually just went on through? This album, I'm going to say off the bat, was a 5 out of 5 stars. This was a fucking killer album. Whitesnake, David Coverdale, nailed it. His voice is remarkable. It really is. It's a really good album. I don't know if they were in the studio together, or if the band did one thing and Coverdale did his thing and it meshed it together, because that's what a lot of bands do nowadays. But it sounds like they were in the studio together. It was tight. It's a good album. If you're on the fence about getting this album, excuse me, get it. It's Amazon, of course. I paid like $31 in change with shipping, but well worth it. Absolutely, totally worth it. The album visually is it does it justice. Sort of the snake kind of. It's not textured, but it's kind of got the look of the snake. It's got the Whitesnake emblem, and it says Serpens Albus. I don't know what that means, but it's right here, sort of, lettering. Probably means Whitesnake. I don't know. But that's the album, front, back, inside. But again, killer album. If you're on the fence of getting it, get it. You will not be disappointed. This was a killer album. Sounded good. I don't think there isn't one song that I didn't like on this album. A couple that stuck out was, well, the first song on the first album was "Good to See You Again." It was like remind me of like a 80s or 90s headbanger song. You know, just want to smash your head. You know, it was good. I really enjoy this album. Always and Forever, When I Think of You, Flesh and Blood. I think Heart of Stone. It was just all great. It was a really good. It's a really good album. I highly recommend this. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. Okay. The sleeves that the records come in are good. They're probably not really expensive, but they're not cheap. They're paper sleeves, but you have the plastic inside of them, and they're done well because they're kind of glued at the seam. You know, and they're decent sleeves, and it's got kind of cut right here so you can open it very easily. The album, I'm assuming it's 180 gram. It's thick. It's done well. The labels look good. And then, if you're a Whitesnake album, if you're a Whitesnake fan, you are going to like this album. It was killer, front to back, start to finish. I like this album. I recommend it. I can't say that enough. If you're not sure if you want to get it, get it. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. I haven't gotten a CD yet, but I do plan on getting it, as well as listen to it in my car. Definitely a great album. I guess I can go through the artists. Obviously, David Coverdale, vocals, duh. These artists I'm not familiar with. Some of you may know them from other bands. I do not. Red Beach on guitars. Joel Holskestra. Yeah, Joel Holkestra on guitars. Michael Devin on bass, Tommy Aldridge on drums, and Michelle Lupi on keyboard. They nailed it, man. They nailed it. This is a great. I was really skeptical because I haven't heard their new stuff in years, but this was great. Again, I was going into this a bit skeptical, but it really blew my mind out how good this album is. I enjoyed it. Whitesnake, Flesh and Blood. 5 out of 5 stars. All right. As always, be kind to others. Peace. And see you on the flip side.